Hello, welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend. March so far, I think we'd all agree, has been wet, windy, at times wild. Any sign of anything a little calmer? Well, actually, yes. Next week, it looks like the weather will be an awful lot calmer. With lighter winds and less rain, it will turn a bit colder at night with the likelihood of some frosts returning, and there may well still be spells of wet and windy weather, particularly in the northwest. The rest of this week, more wet and windy weather for all parts of the UK. Further bouts of strong winds and heavy rain sweeping across the UK. Still have warnings in force. Perhaps not quite as extreme as the past couple of days, but nevertheless, the weather remains lively. And on Saturday in particular, we're keeping our eyes on an area of low pressure, bringing more wet and windy weather and the possibility, that's all it is at this stage, of some snow, most likely across northern Britain. So that is one to watch. Of course, when we're talking wet and windy weather, we're talking low pressure systems. Gareth is clearing away, but it's followed by another low pressure system Thursday, another one on Friday, and then this one spinning up and heading our way for Saturday. That's the one we need to keep a close eye on. Why low pressure system after low pressure system? Well, we look high up in the atmosphere for that. This is the jet stream, and it's just powering across the Atlantic at the moment and powering across the UK, driving those low pressure systems our way. But instead of coming straight across the Atlantic, just signs that by the time we get to the weekend, there's more amplification in that jet. It's becoming more twisted, if you like, and in particular, this dip in the jet stream may provide some clues as to when this weather system really intensifies on Saturday. As I said, this is the one that's giving us a few headaches at the moment. This is the one that potentially could cause some problems because as it moves in, it will bring wet weather. But also on its northern flank, we've got some colder air getting pulled in behind it. So as that system brings the rain that hits the colder air, we could see some snow. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty about the position of that low pressure. And that's partly because the jet is so energized at the moment. And of course, the position will dictate where we see any snowfall. On its northern flank, we could well see some across northern Britain on Saturday. But at the moment, it is just the potential. Also, we need to keep our eyes on the winds because the isobars tightly packed could bring some strong winds across parts of the south on Saturday too. But again, this low could be further north, or it could be a little bit further south. So the exact position of where we'll see any snow and the strong winds, well, we'll firm up on the details of that over the next couple of days. What we are pretty sure of is that that low pressure system will move through into Sunday, and then look what happens. Looking out in the Atlantic, we're seeing high pressure for once. Notice the cold air is spread across all parts of the UK there, so it will be turning colder, but high pressure brings that influence of calmer weather and hopefully something a bit drier early next week. Plenty of showers around on Sunday. Those showers could be heavy, possibly thundery, with some hail and even some sleet and snow mixed in, especially over the hills. And we will notice that cold air returning. Monday morning could be a pretty chilly one. But let's go back to this chart and show that colder air with the high pressure. Where are the low pressure systems? They're much further north, heading their way up across Iceland, and that is because that is where the jet stream has now shifted to. So it's a shift in the jet stream pushing further north, which is allowing the UK weather to settle down with higher pressure building in. Now this is a longer range through next week. The pressure anomaly chart. Don't worry too much about the numbers, but concentrate on the colours. Red is higher pressure, blue is lower than average pressure. You can see the signs of higher than average pressure coming in across southern parts of the UK. And that's the most likely setup pressure-wise as we go into next week. Probably looking something like this, with high pressure sitting close by to southern parts of the UK and across Europe. Those low pressure systems being taken north close to Iceland by the jet stream. It does mean at times we'll see some wet and windy weather coming into the northwest of the UK, if this pressure pattern is what we see. So we will see at times some wet and windy weather here. But for large swathes of the UK, high pressure means drier weather, and it should be an awful lot less windy as well. And although the nights will be colder with the return of frosts, by day, as we go through next week, it may just start to warm up a little bit. Maybe signs of spring returning. Now this is a trend forecast, and it's still a long way to go before we get to next week. Make sure you keep up to date with the very latest. As I said, there are warnings in force. You can keep track of those through the Met Office app, or why not follow us on Twitter and Facebook.